Hello, and welcome to this final Halloween special, of which you might want to pay close attention, as this tale comes to us from many pieced-together reports given by survivors. For the beast who hunts us is ever nipping at our heels, always hungry. So, without further ado, let's take a listen. Alas, it's always the same story. A remote village with livestock as trade, devastated. Crumpled and leveled to the ground with all aspects of corporeal life nearly wiped out. I say nearly because I do believe this beast, or the beast, is not only a sloppy eater, but also a sloppy storyteller. Or perhaps it's on purpose, to assure the fear stays present. There is much we don't know, yet. However, for every place he feeds there is often someone, or something that lives to tell us of what happened, and it never begins slowly. As a matter of fact, by the time anyone realizes a predator is near, it's already too late. There is no grazing, no testing the waters as it were, just gluttonous feasting upon the innocent. The beast, I believe, becomes so hungry, always hungry, but especially between meals, that when it finds a mark, it wastes no time, saving its stalking and games for individuals who know of what it truly seeks. Namu, our Drake-obsessed historian, has had one such encounter. As we've come to discover, the beast knows not only of the Gathering Stone, but also of its stout feathered stewards. Almost intimately, I might add. Now, I have my own suspicions, or theories I suppose, about these matters, but I will save that for another time. After all, we're still telling scary stories, aren't we? And with that, I'm inclined to give you the worst of the worst when it comes to describing these atrocities of the beast. And for that matter, let's give it a proper name, shall we? The beast. How about Lobo? Yes, Lobo. A secretive creature whose appetite knows no bounds, and as I said before, favors the guise of a wandering coyote. A slinking, opportunistic hunter that can easily blend with its surroundings. Is it a skittish hound looking for a free meal? Or is it playfully lulling you into a sense of comfort to strike when you're most vulnerable? Well, one such account tells of a scrawny, bony-looking hound spotted just outside of a rustic village called Stockend. Wary of its purpose, the shepherds had their flock of sheep brought in at night, along with latched and guarded chicken coops, thinking Lobo was another stray hoping for an easy snack. Little did they know of its true appetite. Well, when the week had run its course with no incident, a local fisherman left early one morning before the sunrise in hopes of finding his catch before the warmth of the summer's heat took over. On his way out of town, he noticed a pair of flashing eyes watching him from the tree line. They locked onto one another, and although it sent a chill down his spine, he continued on his way at a quicker pace, feeling as though that stare could see through his very thoughts. He didn't feel relieved until his boots had met the safety of a knee-deep river. Although though nothing came in search of him, he still felt unease during his entire day of fishing, looking over his shoulder with every cast. But nothing was there. Matter of fact, he recounted it was quite peaceful away from the prying eyes. That was until silence took over everything save for the sound of rushing water, and he began hearing panicked screams over the hill in the direction of his town. At first he thought it might be a celebration, but quickly changed his mind when the screams were cut short, and the sheep began bleating. Feeling the color leave his face, he dropped his things and waded ashore, then made for the small trail that led back to Stock End, keeping to the brush and shrubs for cover, in case of what he might find upon his arrival. And he definitely was not prepared for what met him. Coming to the summit of a small hill and the very tree line where he earlier saw the roving eyes, he came to a stop. Looking around as he adjusted through labored breathing, he didn't see nor hear anyone. And once his gaze laid upon the village center, he knew why. For a near 3-story, grotesquely overweight, coyote-like creature was sitting upon its hind, stuffing its face with what appeared to be this man's best friend. Kicking and fighting, it didn't matter, as the monster shoved a lamb down its mouth right behind. Blood, wool, drool, all congealed between its paws and mouth to what had to be one of the most horrifying things this old fisherman had ever seen. He felt sick and dropped to his knees, shaking before looking up. The beast belched, then turned its yellow eyes in his direction with a wicked smile. The man froze and watched as the coyote now morphed its body into that of a great dragon, then set to demolishing his beloved home. Between the splintering of wood and crashing of rubble, the man felt so hopeless and wondered, what is this thing? And why? Exhausted to the point of faint, he fell and laid there watching his memories fall to pieces. When the creature was done, it took one more look back at the now supine fisherman, then shrank back down to that of a scrawny coyote, and trotted off through the destruction and disappeared over the horizon. Ooh. Well now, this is just one small story of but many about Lobo, an unknown shape-shifting monster with an insatiable appetite, whose stories appeared right around the same time as our feathered friends, and is desperately seeking them out. But for what purpose we, or I, still do not know. But stay tuned to find out. And thank you all for listening to these festively frightening stories this month. Back to our regularly scheduled programming next week, with what I think might be a recap just to kick things off. So until then, farewell for now.